The first body turned up in the summer of 1972. A young man, just a teenager, was found in a shallow ditch along the Des Plaines River. He had no ID on him, and from the looks of it, he had been dead for weeks. His face was badly decomposed, and he was wrapped in what looked like an old tarp, discarded like garbage. No one reported him missing. He had no name, no story. Just another lost kid who'd ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time, or so we thought. I had been a detective with the Chicago police for a few years, and we'd seen our fair share of missing persons cases. But something about this one felt off. Maybe it was the brutality of it, the way the kid's body had been dumped, like an afterthought. Or maybe it was the sheer number of missing young men that had been piling up over the last couple of years. We didn't have much to go on with the body. The autopsy revealed that he had been strangled, and his wrists and ankles bore the marks of ligatures, likely bound before he died. There were no fingerprints in the system and no leads to follow. We hit a wall, and the case went cold, but it stuck with me. The thought that this kid had been left out there, unnoticed, unclaimed. Months passed, and then, in the fall of 1975, another boy went missing. His name was John Butkovich, an 18-year-old kid who worked odd jobs around town. His parents were beside themselves, certain that something had happened to him. The kid had been reliable, always showing up for work, but one day he never came home. His car was found abandoned in a parking lot, keys still in the ignition. I started digging into his life. Butkovich worked construction, and his employer, a local contractor, claimed to have no idea where the boy had gone. The man seemed polite, respectable even, but there was something about him that set off alarm bells. He lived alone in a quiet suburban neighborhood, ran his business out of his house. I couldn't shake the feeling that he knew more than he was letting on, but without evidence, there was nothing I could do. Then, more boys began to disappear. Gregory Godzik, 17, vanished without a trace. John Sick, 19, gone the next year. The cases started stacking up, and each time it was the same profile. Young, teenage boys, mostly working class, often hitchhiking or looking for odd jobs. The disappearances stretched across years, and yet we couldn't find a single solid lead. It wasn't until 1978 that the break in the case came. A teenager named Robert Peast was reported missing after his shift at a local pharmacy. His mother was frantic. He had told her he was going to meet a contractor about a potential job, but he never came home. This wasn't a runaway case. Piest had a bright future, a family that cared about him. He wasn't the type to just disappear. I immediately recognized the pattern. We tracked down the contractor Robert was supposed to meet, the same man I had spoken to years earlier when John Butkovich had vanished. He was cooperative, as always, but something about his manner seemed rehearsed, too smooth. His name was John Wayne Gacy. Gacy had a reputation in the community. He was known for hosting neighborhood parties, performing as a clown for children, and generally being a well-liked businessman. But my gut told me there was something darker beneath the surface. When we searched his house, Gacy was calm, even joking with the officers. He clearly didn't think we'd find anything. And at first, he was right. The first search of the house turned up nothing of value. But I couldn't shake the feeling we had missed something. So we went back, this time with a warrant to dig deeper, literally. The house had an unusual smell, something that set me on edge. We went down to the crawl space beneath the home, and that's when everything changed. The earth was soft beneath the floorboards, freshly turned. My heart sank as I realized what we were about to find. The first shovel hit something solid. Bones, human remains. The more we dug, the more bodies we uncovered, each one wrapped in plastic and buried in shallow graves. By the end of the day, we had uncovered the remains of several boys. The enormity of what we had stumbled upon hit me like a freight train. This wasn't just a killer. This was a predator who had been operating for years right under our noses. Gacy had methodically lured his victims, often offering them work or a ride, and once they were in his home, he overpowered them. They were strangled with a makeshift tourniquet, their bodies hidden away beneath his house. He killed without mercy and without remorse. As we began the process of identifying the bodies, more details of his atrocities came to light. Gacy had been torturing his victims before killing them. He would bind them, sometimes dressing in his clown costume as he carried out the unimaginable. His house had been a prison for these young men, their lives snuffed out in the most horrifying ways. In total, we found 29 bodies in the crawl space of Gacy's house. 4 more were discovered in the nearby Des Plaines River. The victims included boys as young as 14 with names that would haunt me forever. John Butkovich, Gregory Godzik, Robert Piest, John Sick, and so many others. Some of them were never identified, their names lost to time, their families never able to bury their loved ones. John Wayne Gacy was arrested, and during his trial, he showed no remorse. He tried to paint himself as a victim of mental illness, but no one was buying it. He had terrorized an entire community, snuffing out the lives of at least 33 boys and young men, each life a tragedy unto itself. He was convicted on all counts and sentenced to death. In 1994, he was finally executed by lethal injection, but the damage he had done could never be undone. Gacy had been the man next door, the friendly clown at the children's parties, but beneath the mask, he was a monster.